Hey everybody, this is Perch. I don't know if you're reading the Ultimate line. It has some potential. I think people got way too excited about Ultimate Spider-Man. It's fun. It's a good book. It's the funny thing is the excitement of Peter and Mary Jane together, married with kids, and being able to tell those kinds of stories and everything else. To me, I think that's what certainly what a lot of people got excited about. Also, I think it reveals the storytelling opportunities that exist there. We've seen in hell and Into the Spider Verse and those kinds of things. You got or across the new Spider Verse movie, the Miles movie. You've got Peter who is married with a kid, and it's charming. It's a good part of the story. People are liking it. And if you're one of those people who believes that Marvel is secretly trying to just stealth replace Spider-Man with Miles. Quite frankly, one of the biggest arguments against that is the fact that Marvel keeps pushing single Spider-Man. Spider-Man's stuck in the status quo. Oh, let's make him the Green Goblin again. I mean, oh my God, the current Amazing Spider-Man run is just, Zeb is a nice guy, but Christ, it is so devoid of any kind of life. I mean, just it's a shame. There's some good artists on that book. There's some people trying, but Jesus, it just this run is rough. But if you were Marvel, one of the smartest things you could do in the mainline universe is to, basically get Peter Parker. I mean, think of all the money you'd make. First of all, you restore the marriage. Okay, you have Peter Parker realize something is going on. He's got to fight through hell to get it. I mean, that's 2 years worth of stories you can cram in there of just, fighting Mephisto, getting the marriage back, all that kind of stuff. Just that is, it's gold right there. And Ultimate Spider-Man proves it. If there was a test balloon that Marvel was to send up, it's that fans are going to jump for that, even if they're pissed at Marvel, even if they don't like Marvel, even if they feel like Marvel's been mean to them, whatever it happens to be, they will go all in on that one, purely for just getting that marriage restored. Then you basically have this huge amount of stories. I mean, you got to do more than just get the marriage restored. You probably also have to somehow get the kid. You have to fast forward to the kid. Or, I mean, you're playing the real long game and you go through Mary Jane pregnancy and everything else. I don't know, but that's where I think, I don't know. Do comic fans really want to see a pregnant Mary Jane for like the 5 years in comic book time it would take for, anyway, whatever the case is. But then you have stories of being a dad, kind of what you're seeing in Ultimate Spider-Man. It works. It's new. It feels fresh. It's different. But it also gives you the opportunity to highlight Miles as the young, energetic Spider-Man, which if you believe that Marvel's secretly plotting to race swap all their characters, I mean that would be the best way to do it. Literally, you make Peter dad, you get the adventures of him and his kid, you kind of segment off that, and then you have, young Miles Morales could take more of a spotlight, like we've seen in the movies. Like that would work. But anyway, what do I know? I don't read comics. I don't know anything. Anyway, but other comics in the Ultimate line are a little bit more. I don't know. I read the first issue of the Ultimates, the teen book, and I didn't care for it. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere. I just didn't. I don't know. Didn't enjoy that. The big threat of we got to have this done before the Maker comes out. I mean, I guess, but it doesn't feel like a great hook. And they're already tying it too much to 616. Just even in that, I mean, the Ultimate line needs to be free from continuity. It feels like there's a lot of it there. Anyway, Ultimate Black Panther's good. I think it's a fun little story. It's again, it's a little too early. Like, where is it going? There's a little bit of that aspect to the whole thing where, it's taken its time with its story, and it needs to get some pretty big stakes and hooks relatively quickly. One of the things about the original Ultimate line is that it was doing, massive things. The first 6 issues, it's like, we don't think we're going to be around for hundreds of issues, so fuck it, throw everything at the wall. Let's go. And I think that's appealing to quite a few people. But anyway, so you got that going on, and then you have Ultimate X-Men. And for what it's worth, I'm enjoying Ultimate X-Men. It is not an X-Men title like the other X-Men titles, and the letter we're about to read kind of goes into that. But it's different. it does feel like it's living a little bit more up to its ultimate premise of, it's truly different. Now, same kind of problem though. It also feels like it's going in some direction. I'll have to find out what direction, but it is taking its time as well. But it feels like, yeah, it's a good little story. I don't know. I've been appreciating it for what it's worth. But anyway, let's read this mail because this goes into that series. It's a long mail for what it's worth. I said that a lot this time. So Perch, we are free from the terrible Krakoa era, except for Steve Fox's Era of Apocalypse still exists. So it's basically a brand new start for Ultimate X-Men. It's finally a brand new start for Ultimate X-Men by Peach Momoko. There have been many people, including our associates such as Drew and Wes, who keep saying that Peach Momoko's X-Men is not X-Men. Now, here's the thing. Remember the synopsis of the announcement of Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men. It said Hisaku wanted to be a normal teenager who goes to school, having friends, and avoid the political problems of Ultimate Invasion. Peach really didn't lie or bait anyone because Hisaku does go to school and hangs out with Maystorm as Hisaku carries guilt over her friend Tsubasa committing suicide. Tsubasa. I did a comment on your problem indicator for comics. It seems like Peach Momoko is going to focus on each individual character rather than the team, like a prologue of X-Men. Just like Jeff Loeb's Ultimate X is a prologue of the Ultimate X-Men comic 2011, starred by Nick Spencer. I have been reading Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men. I admit the pacing is slow, which is the biggest issue of the comic. It should be weekly or bi-weekly, but I do enjoy it. As it seems, she does understand each X-Men character. She says, let's see, I said that I never write a story first and pick the character later. I choose a character and I want to know their story. Because of what it has to make, because it has to take to make Peach Momoko feel like X-Men, so her Ultimate X-Men can get some more of an audience. I apologize for reading it. I'm reading it the best I can. I want to hear your thoughts on Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men when the first arc is complete. It's best to ask ahead before issue 6 is released. Yeah, you know how I record these videos. That's right. I can confidently say that Peach Momoko is a better writer than the women who were in the Krakoa X-Men era. I also wish to hear your daughter's thoughts on the Peach Momoko's title, because you did talk about what Marvel can learn from anime, and I told you that Marvel already has made an anime before. And when I told you about that and your daughter's thoughts, saying it was not anime, I'm curious what thoughts on Peach Momoko's book. Don't have to bring them. Okay. I'll skip a little bit as some very kind comments from the writer talking about how, I don't bring my daughters on as much because it creeps. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I do need to bring them back on, but I definitely, there's only so many videos you can talk about people wanting to do things to your daughters where you're like, maybe this is the place to bring them in. Anyway, there's some good stuff in here, and the writer goes on, and there's quite a bit more on this title and kind of some other things liking the book. But I wanted to comment on the crux of the question here around what I think of the title. So I said before, and I think I said it once on Thinking Critical, that I do like Peach Momoko's book. I think it's fun, it's different, and I think it doesn't. There's a little bit of bait and switch element. I mean, it's worth saying that out loud. I think that, when it calls itself Ultimate X-Men, obviously that was one of the titles that was very popular during the Ultimate line. X-Men it means something. And so throwing that label on it does convey a little bit of what you're going to get. And it isn't that. It is a very different book. It is very much a manga style title. And I do think, to the writer's point, I think it suffers a lot from not being weekly or bi-weekly. I think it's written that way. It's intended to be that way. It would carry more momentum if it was that way. You don't necessarily need to put more pages on, but even if you're releasing this comic every week in bits or every 2 weeks, I think it would carry the story forward. The month's delay between books is killing this title. I mean, full stop. I think if they cancel it, when they cancel it, that's the biggest culprit of the problem, because it's telling a very different, very manga style story. I completely agree. But coming out monthly, it's hard to gain momentum. I think at this point you're kind of waiting for the trade and hoping to kind of get it all in one go like that, but that's not a great way to get the comic either. You wait for the trade, and then what? You wait another 7 months for another trade. I mean, the book won't survive like that, I guess is the point. It's gonna need some more frequency. But I do enjoy it, and to the point, I think it is character driven. I think we're building something up. It does feel like a prologue. It feels like a writer who's setting off on creating a 100,000 chapter manga. It feels like somebody who's in it for the very long haul. I just think it's probably the wrong company to be doing it for. I think Marvel's not in the business of doing that, and I think it will struggle for that reason. So I like it. I think I'm in the minority. I think most people do not like it, from what I can tell. But the biggest reason is I don't know. I think I would have probably, if I'm doing all this, sorry, I'm thinking about it. If I were Marvel, I would have just gone for a Marvel manga line, and I would have delivered it differently, not in a monthly book, but in bits. Maybe the way you do it is, Marvel, try and do your own kind of Shonen Jump type thing. Get 4 creators and have them do, their monthly comics like you're doing it now. But when you send it to the comic shop, when you print it, have it be 2 stories or 3 stories in there. So you can release it more frequently, and probably maybe print it on newsprint, maybe print it, newsprint wouldn't be that cheaper, but try and do so in a way that really signifies as a different product and let people tell their story. Because I think my suspicion is a lot of people would like Ultimate X-Men more if it was coming out more frequently and it wasn't called Ultimate X-Men. I mean, even if it was called, Marvel manga or, whatever it happens to be, you can use characters. The Peach Momoko manga style series did well. But you need to convey that it's a series people can actually care about. The problem with Momoko's previous work is that they were kind of limited series, one shot sitting out there. They really didn't impact anything. They weren't part of any kind of line, so it was easy to ignore them because they didn't matter. And but they weren't necessarily specified that way. In this one, I think you need to come out and say, yeah, this is a new universe, like you're doing with Ultimate. I think that's not a bad idea, but you probably want to do something a little bit different from the X-Men name, and then I think you want to release it more frequently. But if you haven't checked out Ultimate X-Men, I would give it a shot. It's different, but set your mind to reading it differently. If you sit down and you're like, I'm going to read a monthly book, then you're going to hate it. And especially if it's like, I don't like the Krakoa era, I want to read a different kind of X-Men. Well, you're going to get a very different kind of X-Men. You're going to get better storytelling, but you're still not going to really get what you want. If you're a fan of the 1992 Jim Lee, Chris Claremont X-Men, you're definitely not getting that. So I think, but if you go into it saying, hey, I want kind of a manga / horror type story, and I'm into that, it's a good idea. I will let my daughters review it, see what they think. My suspicion is I'm positive my older daughter will like it, and we'll take it from there. Anyway, thank you very much for the mail. Sorry I butchered your letter so much. And by all means, keep writing, and it's enjoyable talking about comics that I like, even if I'm defending them a little bit against the masses. It's fun. So there you go. Thanks for listening.